Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time zone it is, wherever you're in the world. It is your Lore Saviour, and today we are going to be carrying our conversation regarding TTRPG player etiquette, because quite frankly, and this might be a hot, spicy take for a hot day in July 2025 in the year of our Lord Telos, some of you really should not be playing TTRPGs because the basic social and player etiquette that some of you have is quite frankly toilet water. But what I mean about carrying on, well, on the 17th of April 2025 in the year of our Lord Talos, I put out a video which is basically a handful of tips that you players and games masters could be bringing into your tabletop games to improve yourselves as players and also as games masters. And the first point that I made was about taking part, turning up, showing that you were interested, that you just genuinely cared about the players and the games master and the environment around you. Go and check out that video, it's going to appear in a card up there now. But we're going to be carrying on, or rather extending that specific point, because there's a couple of instances I really want to vent about. One of them's a bit older than the other, but they both kind of harbour on the same point where a couple of players have taken the piss, I feel, in some games. And I think I've talked about the first one before, but if not, we're talking about it here right now. But it's really sort of harbouring on the fact of, like, as I've said already, taking part, showing up, and just showing some respect for the games master. Now, the games master, I feel, is often treated, not often, as one of the players. They are just somebody who is supposed to amuse and entertain the players and submit to all of their whims. They're not supposed to have all that much fun themselves, which, by the way, as a games master talking to another games master, you are allowed to have fun. Sure, you have a lot of fun creating the world and encounters and get a good buzz, hopefully, seeing your players have a lot of fun, but you are allowed to have that safe space as well. Like all those like safety tips that we see online from YouTube, social media, etc., you're allowed to employ them for yourselves, you know. Well, the first instance I want to waffle about was somebody that I was going to run Wraith the Oblivion for, and if you're unaware what that game entails, it's set within the world of darkness, and you play as ghosts who have been who are unable to move on from one reason or another. Now, the weird twist about that is that each of these wraiths, ghosts, have what's known as a shadow, which is a part of themselves, where I often like to compare it to like Persona 4, like the players and the NPCs encounters like a nastier, more negative version of themselves, like all the grimy, shitty, self-doubting selves about themselves that they don't like to admit or to face up to or pretend don't exist. It's kind of that manifest within oneself, and you as a player, you play your own character and you play the shadow, this other element, of somebody else. And which means that if people don't turn up or like are late or whatever, then the game kind of falls apart very quickly. It's a very beautifully tragic, gothic, romantic masterpiece in my opinion. But I was running a game for members of my Discord server, and funny enough, both of these games regarding members of my Discord server, which is usually such a nice, respectful place. But I was running this game of Wraith the Oblivion, and it was a one-shot, and my one-shots tend to be like 3 to 4 hours, but it usually sits around the 3-hour mark. And this player was exhibiting quite a few red signs from the get-go, in that they were asking some really basic things regarding character creation, which, for most instances, is fine. But when I put out the ad for this game, I used startplaying.games, and one of the things it has as a header, at least at the time, because it changes its fucking layout every 5 minutes, I was like, what can players do, or rather what players should do, to, like, prepare and get ready for the game? And the thing that I always put there is just read through the core book or flick through the core book, make sure that you understand like the bare bones setting, that you know how character creation works, etc. and so forth. And of course, as a games master who's going to be running this, I'm going to be helping out people as much or as little as I can. But this player was asking so many questions, like really basic things that they could just open up on the character creation chapter of the book to understand. So it wasn't to do with the setting, it was the actual bare bones, like how many points do I need to do? What does that mean? And like some things can be a bit complicated to understand, but for me it was like tripping or alarm bells. That it was like really basic forward shit. And they kept handing me versions of the character sheet where things were wrong, like with the World of Darkness games, you start with like 1 dot in each of the attributes, and I could see from the distribution that they didn't do the math wrong. They didn't assign their powers correctly. They didn't understand what anything meant. And it turned out that they actually had done character creation using a screenshot that I provided to make things easier, rather than, you could depend entirely on this. Because they didn't own the core book. And it took me to push at them so many times, like, you will find this bit of information in the core book. And eventually they just went, where can I buy the core books? Like, I know a lot of games masters hand out digital core books to the players, but first of all, this is quite a large PDF, so sharing it wasn't so straightforward. And also, at the time, that book was on sale, so it wasn't too much to purchase as a PDF. And as much as I don't always approve this, you could always pirate it online, so there really is no excuse for this sort of laziness. And on top of all of that, once they had somebody else literally go through the character creation process with them step by step, because this player was an absolute goat and was prepared to give up a bit of their time for them, this player, the problematic one, then drops into the chat, oh, I'm going to be 2 hours late for the session, because I don't even remember what the reason was, but I was a bit perplexed by this. There was no sorry, there was no sense of urgency, it was just a casual, oh, I'm going to be 2 hours late for the session. No, you're not, because you're not going to be in the session, because remember, I said that it was a 3-hour one-shot, and you're going to turn up 2 hours late, and you're playing the shadow of somebody else, and it's going to be a real core component of the game, and you just going to not really care. This is sort of the level that I'd expect from a fucking child, right? And this person is I believe early to mid-30s. I'm not 100% certain, but the point is they're fully ass-grown adult. This was fucking rude and ridiculous, especially with all the time of mine that was wasted, and of course the time of that player. That's just so rude, because it meant that somebody who wanted to play in that game couldn't sign up for it, because it was taken up by, quite frankly, a fucking jackass. And I do feel really bad about that, because I do a first come, first served basis, because I get really fucking stressed out about waiting for people to reply, because a lot of the games that I had done prior to that were one-shot actual plays, where I'd go around asking people, mostly small TTRPG personalities, people who I were friendly with, say, hey, are you available for such and such to run a thing like this? I think you'd really enjoy it, blah blah blah, etc. and so forth. And then I would sort of have to wait for ages for people to get back. A lot of these people in different time zones to myself, so it was just a load of fun juggling about. Fun is sarcasm, and actually very stressful. I did a video a couple years ago explaining all this, which is going to appear in a card right now, and my stance on that is pretty much the same. And then it comes to putting together a Discord group and managing conversations about that. And I also do consent sheets of a lot of these games as well, which I'm more than happy to do. I don't typically use consent sheets now, I just like to have the big open conversation about things. But all of that requires a lot of waiting and poking and prodding and pulling people. And again, I know that people are busy and they've got their own lives and stuff, but it would be nice sometimes if there was just a bit of priority and care for that setting, especially when, okay, we're going to be doing this on this very specific date, and you agreed to do this by this date. What the fuck are you doing? The difference is now that whilst they're more casual and I don't have to worry about putting on a camera and recording it, I feel that I'm a lot more firm about how I want things to be done. Like I said, I will give people a certain amount of time to join a Discord server, where previously I'd given a couple of days because I was being a bit generous, but then again with all the pulling and pushing about people would sign up to it and then wouldn't join the Discord server, then I'd give them a day. And in this most recent one that I'm going to talk about in just a moment, it was 12 hours, and I advertised it in the evening so the Americans on my server would see it, and the Europeans are coming home from work. It just seemed like the best time to do it. So if people hadn't joined it by the time I woke up the following morning, because I get up pretty early in the morning, then I just boot them and replace them with somebody else. Which leads me on to this next game that I'm going to be running. It is a Vampire the Masquerade First Edition game, which I haven't run yet, but by the time this video comes out, it may well have done. If that's the case, check out the cards that appear at the end of the video, like the boom, 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 those ones that appear. To learn more about what happened there, so it's not going to be an actual play, so it's more of a recap sort of thing. And it was apparent that my Discord server were very excited about this. There was talk about people hovering around the announcement page that I was going to do because they knew I was going to announce it, and then hitting the thing when I'd deployed the ad for it via startplaying.games. They signed up, and again I was very clear and precise about what I wanted to do. This is the time that I'm going to do it. It's going to be like 3 to 5 weeks. We're going to be doing it at this time, UK time, and Start Playing Games also shows it in their native time. And there's a thing you can do with Discord via a site called Hammer Time, where through a bit of code you can like have the time zone displayed wherever it is they are in the world, so you don't have that awkward conversation of, oh, is it in your time zone, is it blah blah, you know, that just sort of eliminates the conversation there. I put on the page, please read through everything to make sure you understand what's going on. I do this quite a lot because I try and eliminate those really awkward conversations about what's it going to be, how we're doing character creation, etc. and so forth. Even though Start Playing Games is really clear about that, despite the fact it changes its layout all the time. I feel it's really straightforward to do that if people just take a few moments to read. Which I suppose the downside to that is that I, Lore by Night, am a fairly well popular figure, and people do want to play in games with me, and would have to rush in as quickly as they can to do that, which probably contributed to what I'm about to talk about. But at the same time, even when you're rushing through, I do accompany it with an ad like how all of this is going to pan out. So there really isn't much of an excuse there, and as an autistic person under the neurodiverse sphere, it's kind of traumatic for me. Like, not being understood, or being misunderstood, or people presuming or assuming things of me. And that might sound a bit ridiculous to some of you who aren't neurodiverse, or ADHD, autistic, dyslexia, etc. and so forth. Like, the normies that people would describe as neurotypical. But there are social rules and constructs regarding conversation, how we present ourselves, like eye contact, for example. People can get really pissed off if eye contact is not established. I don't do eye contact. I will look in the vague direction of your face. Like, even now, I'm finding it difficult to look directly at the camera. And yes, people do look away from time to time, but I often find I'm looking down at my right. And there have been many arguments and fallouts over the years that I have had, and I've been in quite a lot of trouble because I have misunderstood or misinterpreted a social cue or instruction presented in the neurotypical space. And it's something that continues to persist through to this day. And in the social media age and the digital age, and how fucking precious the TTRPG space can be sometimes, it has led to Twitter dramas. For one reason or another, they have presumed the worst of me, where a simple bit of clarification could have sorted out a lot of mess. So I really try hard to make myself understood, and it really upsets me where I feel I've done a good job at explaining things and that hasn't been the case. And I also know that I sort of slur words occasionally, and I talk really quickly, usually if I'm particularly passionate, and I know that my pronunciation of some words are a bit off, and I know that the way that I structure words and sentences are a bit peculiar sometimes, but I feel like 9.999 times out of 10, I do a fairly adequate job. So, with all of this in mind, and with this particular game, I double and triple mentioned, please read through again, tripping up on my words, please reread through everything, like in capital letters, like repeating myself so many times, putting things in bold where I can. And I have one player who joins up this vampire game, who, like, from the fucking get-go mentions, is it going to be a one-shot, what time is it, when, how long is it going to be, and it's like, my fucking brother in Christ, read the fucking thing! And then I get a message from them not too long later, and this is the real kicker here, the actual thing that inspired me making this video and bringing up this older incident, is that they tell me that when the game's finished, they're going to have to disappear pretty quickly, because they're going to be an hour late for a paid game that they're in, and they don't want to be even more late with that. And I felt kind of uncomfortable with that, because people who advertise as paying games, it's usually part of their livelihood. And the player said, oh, it's fine, like, he's used to players turning out an hour or so later. Like, first of all, Games Master, I don't know who you are, and if by chance that you're watching this, and you're okay with this sort of behaviour, what the fuck are you playing at? This is your livelihood? Sure, okay, if it's like a little bit of money on the side, it's not the end of the world, fair enough, but regardless, it's a game, and people are turning up an hour late, like, as a regular basis. Pull your fucking shit together. Find people who show you respect more to turn up. Oh, like, if you have people regularly show up for work like an hour or so late, they'd get the fucking sack. Like, that's just so rude and disrespectful. Like, even in a more casual setting, that's just so disrespectful. When you as a games master have put in so much work, like, to build the world, the setting, the encounters, to manage all the themes of the players and try and work out who's going to be doing what and these little interactions. Even if you're somebody like me that like reacts at a whim to what the player's doing, you kind of like set up little seed and plot points of things for them to do, and if they don't turn up because they're so regularly late, or you don't know when someone's going to appear, that's super frustrating. Like, and the other thing that I find really annoying about that is that on my server, there were people who really wanted to be a part of this, because I like teased and advertised this game for years. Like, the game that I'm doing is like an actual play thing for the server, so I'm not recording it, but you can set up like live community stages on Discord servers. And there are several people who are like, darn, I was too slow sort of thing, because those spots went really fucking quickly, because again, it's a large Discord server that's celebrating 1,000 members. Prior to that, I'm, not to wank my ego a bit, like, I am a well-known personality within the world of Darkness space, and I know there are a lot of people who would really love to play Vampire the Masquerade with me. And I've met people in real life, outside the digital space, when I've run things at my local game store, who recognise me. And I don't want to be melodramatic with this, or I'm not stretching the truth of this. There was like one person who was like borderline hyperventilating, like I thought they were going to fucking pass out, because they was essentially meeting their hero and like somebody who had changed their life for the better. And I've had a few messages like that from people in YouTube comments, in Twitter posts, and Blue Sky messages, where people have like expressed like how much the stuff I have done has like got them into this wonderful hobby, it's got them into relationships, and it's just how I present things, it's just like made them feel happier, and in a couple of instances it's saved a couple of lives, which is a really weird thing to reflect upon. So I do understand a little bit why people would sign up to a game so fucking quickly. But in this particular instance, I find it very upsetting and disrespectful that this one person just signed up really fucking quickly because they just wanted to play in a game regardless to what was going on. They didn't read what the game was about. They didn't even know if it was going to be a chronicle or one-shot. And now they're going to be constantly an hour late for somebody else's game that they're paying money for. Which to me is very disrespectful for them and for me, and I feel really sorry for a couple of the people on my server who I know would have turned up and they wouldn't have, like, poorly organised themselves so much. So what that's going to do now is that when I run another game like this, I'm going to have to flick off the instant bookable thing on startplaying.games, just on the off chance that this person signs up again, so I don't let them on a game, because weirdly enough, I've run games with them before, and to my knowledge, this hasn't happened. But I don't want spaces lost because of shitty decisions like that. And there's a couple people I'm going to send a message to near the time when I'm running this other game, which is also Vampire the Masquerade First Edition, and might have already be out by the time that this video comes out, although I do have my doubts. But again, check out the YouTube channel for a Vampire the Masquerade First Edition game that focuses on the V5 adventure, The Sacrifice. But like, just going back to like the main topic of this video, show some fucking respect and don't take the piss, because of both of these instances here I think are very disrespectful to the other players, and in this case a much larger community as well, but also to other people who are running games for you. Like, I don't like people being late to my games at the best of time, but, you know, life happens. Like, funny enough, I think it was actually that same Wraith, the Oblivion game, there was one player with that who was, unfortunately, was very ill, and they were a little bit late, and they also had some tech issues going on. And I was okay with that, because illness happens, and Discord, which is where I run these games, is quite frankly a fucking shit website, or an app, whatever you want to fucking call it. A shit service. So stuff like that happens, and there's also much larger tech issues about. So I wasn't too frustrated with that. I was obviously felt a little let down by that, but I knew it wasn't going to be a regular occurrence. But with the scenario here, with these scenarios here, the one who thought it was okay just to be 2 hours late to a 3-hour one-shot, and this other player who just signed up as quickly as possible so they can be in a game regardless to what's going on. Like, there's some really huge fucking red flags here. And I haven't removed the player because it was a free thing, and supposedly the other side doesn't care too much, so it's not the end of the world, I guess. But it's just something that I'm just going to take on board for the future sessions. Like, it's not the end of the world, but it is something that has very much annoyed me. And I'm going to be watching him like a fucking hawk, and I'm going to mention it, like, if this becomes an issue, you're gone. And as I said, in future games, I'm doing the whole turning off the whole instant bookable thing, which is more annoying for me, because now I've got to go through several different fucking emails and prompts, or however I start playing games does this, and just boot people that I recognise as a dickheads, or in this case, this one person. And I shouldn't have to be adding more work because people are just not bothering to read and just like rushing into this and not paying attention. I'm also concerned with the fact that because somebody like this has just signed up super fucking quickly and not really reading, it may now cause issues when we have the session 0, which for me is just talking a little bit before the game starts. Okay, here are the things on the session 0. I'm obviously including like none of the isms, so fascism, racism, transphobia, etc. Is there anything else that you don't want to appear? Now, however, on the startplaying.games page, you can put all the things that are going to be coming up in the game so people can read them and go, I don't like these things, so I'm not going to turn up. But the way that I do trigger warnings are things that not necessarily that I'm going to include, but things that could come up in the game session. Like, as I said, I'm running Vampire the Masquerade, so there's obviously various horror topics. There's going to be blood because you're playing vampires. There's going to be character death, potentially. Again, potentially, so people are going to be killed, so there's going to be violence involved. Certain vampire powers like remove player agency, so I'm going to include that. A lot of the powers deal with gaslighting and emotional abuse, so we've got to put that down there as well. No matter however players play up or down this or have it for comedic effect, the point of the matter is that these powers do these things. There are certain powers that allow players to control animals. Now, in my game, the players are going to encounter violent chimps. They're going to go to a zoo where vampires hiding in the middle of the night. Like, that's like a hard line for me. This encounter is going to happen. And if I have somebody say, well, I saw the session thing and I saw animal harming, but I don't really want that, then they can go fuck off. Because I've put that there, and if they don't like it, they can go and find another game. And some people may not like I'm doing that, think, well, you should really accommodate your players. I do, but when I put down trigger warnings of things that are going to or potentially come up, and you sign up and insist that I should change the game because you couldn't be bothered to read, that is entitled and abusive as fuck. And it's honestly where a lot of the issues regarding consenting gaming comes from. And before anybody complains, I have done 2 videos on this, one of which was like one of the first episodes I did, and I did a much larger one recently, again in a card up there somewhere, where I waffle away about my evolving opinion of them, where consent sheets and consenting gaming and sessions and all the rest of these tools are tools. You use as much or as little as you want in your games to help facilitate a safe space, even if it's just as simple as these are the things that are going to be in the game, I don't want these other things to be happening, is there anything else that you don't want to appear? And accompanying that, I have essentially provided a consent form on the fucking side of things that may be, or in some cases will be, included in the game world. Obviously can't cover everything because some of them are going to be very specific to players, but I'm now having to worry a little bit about a scenario like this where I've now taken in some certain character backgrounds or whatever, and because people are unprepared to read and partake and show that they care for the game setting, it's just so fucking unnecessary. And again, in the age of like social media and like fucking online Twitter dramas, this can easily be turned around, both in this video and the game itself. It's like, oh, Lord by Night is a bully, he didn't have any consent sheets, he did this, he did that. And I shouldn't have to fucking worry about any of that, just because players are being fucking lazy. So, basically, moral of the story is, players, I know it's a bit of a joke that we don't read the fucking core book, but please, please, please learn how to fucking read. And if you're in a game like this where you have a chance to join a game with your content creator, like, just take a few seconds to read. And don't worry, because I'm turning off the instant bookable thing, it gives you a bit longer to work that out now. Read the adverts that people put out, and just don't be a disrespectful cunt. And if you are, don't squish in 2 games at the same time as well. Like, if you're paying somebody to run a game for you, for fuck's sake, prioritise that. Don't prioritise me, who is just running a casual game for people that other people can watch if they so wish. use your fucking brain cells. Don't disrespect me. Don't disrespect the other players. Don't respect other games masters. Just follow the one rule that I have in life. Don't be a cunt.